My guest today performed in Big Break Ireland, which was contested at the K Club out in, as my friend Murphy would say, Stratton, County Kildare, Ireland, which is an awful Irish accent. My apologies to everybody. It premiered September 20th, 2011. And I'm telling you something, this guy can play. Tee to green, I think, and I told Murphy this, so look at Mark Murphy's interview. I think the best player on the show. Didn't result that way, but certainly tee to green and the weather. I'd love to see him on a Florida course that in beautiful sunshine. Really solid game. Finished fourth, and to the eventual winner, Mark Murphy. I'm real pleased to welcome to the show Andy Walker. Andy, welcome to Where Are They Now podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. We've got a lot to cover, and I appreciate your time, so we'll be judicious and move right through it. The first section is the segment we call Quick Hitters. These are questions that came in from Big Break fans, and they have a bunch of them. We whittled them down to the most popular. So right off the bat, one of the main questions we got was, did the cameras distract you on and off the course? Cameras were all around. Did that distract you while you're playing?
No. Luckily I'd played in front of some cameras before when I was actually good at playing golf. And so no, it actually kind of, it calms you down for the most part, because it starts to feel a little bit normal, because it gets a real, unfamiliar feeling being out there doing the big break and kind of a bunch of hurry up and wait before you hit a shot. But I would say the one time it did, I thought about the cameras when we had the big break wall. And my thing was like, just don't spill this thing into the wall right in front of everybody. And because I was thinking not really for viewers so much, but my friends and students that I was working with at the time. Like, they saw me do that, I have no credibility ever again. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Take us through a typical day. It seemed like, we see you guys at the breakfast table. It seems like it's early in the morning. I remember a few shots that was like nighttime or still dark out. So it was so early in the morning. And I'm sure you spend a lot of time. Take us through a typical day in Big Break Ireland.
I think we woke up usually around like 4 a.m. or so, maybe a little after 4 a.m. and you had to be mic'd and ready for camera by like 5:30. There was 6 of us staying at the house originally. So, and there was a couple bathrooms in there, so obviously sharing that time, getting ready. Then you have the breakfast scene closer to probably 6 o'clock in the morning. That's where we always drew the captains. Then you're after breakfast, you're on the range. You warm up for a little bit. They do some pre-contest interviews. You'll see the other team a little bit as well. So early on, everyone was talking friendly, and then after about show 3 or 4, everyone's talking smack, and there was a little beef between the teams. And then it's, you may go out to a hole, and while they're setting up cameras and setting up the contest, you may sit there for 20, 30 minutes before you hit a shot, or depending on where you are in the order, you may not hit a shot for an hour or 2. And so, you could sit there for 3 hours without hitting a golf shot plenty of times, and there's probably more than that in some instances. Then everyone goes through their stuff. Obviously, up on the hole, you have what we call Safe City. So if you were sitting on the bench there, you were, probably safe at that moment. And that's where you wanted to end up, was back in Safe City. And the first day, I remember the first day, we starting at like 7 o'clock in the morning with the glass break. And by the time Bennett and Whitney had their playoff in the elimination challenge, it was probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I think by that time, a couple of us were about 4 sheets to the wind off some porter. So,
Lisa from Long Island wanted to know: were you sworn to secrecy and not allowed to talk about the show once you found out and were selected, and then after the premiere ended up airing? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was funny, because at the time, I couldn't tell my son, I couldn't tell my family or anyone where I was going. I just told them I was going to play somewhere. And that's all I could really say. So we were sworn to secrecy after, when we left, where we were at while we were there, and when we came back, we really couldn't talk about the show other than we were on it. And that was only a certain, after a certain time, they allowed us to talk about it. But through the show, I think there was some papers that we signed. I think you get like fined $1 million or something like that if you leak anything about the show or the winner or what happened from show to show. So
unbelievable.
yeah.
Pamela from Boston says, "Hi, Andy. We can tell you were very emotional about talking about your son. That was a great moment for me with watching the show. You mentioned about purchasing him something with the money you won. What did you buy him?"
I don't remember now.
It was only 10 years ago.
A long
almost.
time ago. I'm sure it was something because when we got back, it was close to his birthday time. So, goodness, he was only a couple years old at that time. So, who knows what I got him? Probably threw the party for him, with it. But I don't think there was anything specific that I ended up getting him.
There you go. We see you guys on the range a lot. 2-part question. Is there a putting green? That's obvious. There is one somewhere, but we don't see it. And then did you practice your challenges before filming them?
No, good question. We didn't know what the challenges were before we filmed them. So they just took us out to a hole, and when you got there, you saw the big break wall, or you saw the glass break, or you saw that they were going to play, but they didn't let you know ahead of time what the challenges were going to be. Yeah, we did practice, putting a little bit. But most of the challenges were so much, kind of tied around hitting a certain golf shot at a time. You just tried to eliminate, we already did this challenge, what could be coming up next? And so, so we just tried to hit balls, but it didn't even really matter because you'd hit balls and then it'd be a couple hours again before you hit a golf shot. What they did do before the challenges is they would let you go to the side and make like 2 or 3 swings real quick. And so you would do that, and then it was on to the challenge.
When players get kicked off, this one's from Bill from New Jersey. When players get kicked off, where do they go? Do they stay at the hotel? Do they get to play golf during the day? What is their day like?
So the players, they got kicked out of the house that we were at, and then they did stay at the hotel there. I think I only had like really one day off in between because then we all went and watched the finale. So from what I heard is they pretty much got to do whatever they want. If they wanted to go play a really good golf course, they could go play. If they wanted to have a spa day, they would take care of the spa day for them. So I think they did it up pretty good. I remember on the day that I had off, we went to and did the tour of the Guinness factory.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Excellent. I worked in some of the quick hitters. There were so many of them. It's during the thing and then post. So I'm just worked them in. So those of you who didn't hear your question, you'll be hearing more of them as we proceed. Quick programming note: if you want your questions answered by your favorite big break star, send them to us. You can get us on Twitter and Instagram at Where Are They Now Podcast, or you can email us at wherearetheynowpodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to the website at wherearetheynowpodcast.com. And we'll get those all answered for you. Next week, we have a bunch of people coming up. Don Donatello, he's the runner-up in Vegas. We have Mark Silvers, who's a champion, at Big Break Greensbrier. And we have Andy's buddy, Mark Murphy, champion of Big Break Ireland.
Funny that you say that. I just saw Don 2 days ago in Orlando. I played in a group behind him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. He called up and wanted to know all the details, and we got the whole the format. He was, how long it's going to take. I got to work it in. Do you mind if I'm in my car? He's just like you see him. So let's talk about the origin of all of this. Were you a Big Break fan? How did you get to the tryout? People ask, we have tons of questions about how were you discovered?
So that's another great question. To be honest, I watched the show because I had so many friends that were on it before me. Probably knew 30, 40 of the people that were on before, I got on the show. So I watched the show. I don't know if I was a fan of the show as much as I was a fan of watching my friends on there. So when I did the Big Break, it was kind of post my career. I had already played, I already had status out there. So I wasn't really looking to do it. But at the time, I was opening up an academy in Phoenix. And so I figured this would be great publicity for the academy and people to kind of watch me play a little bit and say, hey, I could probably learn something from this guy hitting a golf ball. So I knew some of the people at the Golf Channel, and I knew they were coming into Phoenix. So I just popped in there and did the interview and felt like it went pretty well. And then, we did a couple more kind of phone interviews, talked to them a little bit at the Golf Channel. And so I was playing with the team I was coaching at the time. And they called me and they're like, hey, do you have a passport? I was like, yeah. And they tell me I was on the show. but I couldn't tell anyone. So as excited I was at the time, I'm in the middle of a round and I can't tell the people around me like the phone call I just took. So, but the interviews were at, I believe, the Wigwam Resort in Phoenix, and end up seeing some of the people that were on the show, doing the interviews there as well. So.
How did you prepare for the show? If possible, I'm sure you're not doing flop wedges over the top of your house, or hopefully not smashing the windows of your
Right.
home. Did you speak to some of the guys you knew before, get a sense of what it was like? How'd you prepare for the big break?
No, not really. I probably didn't really prepare. I was coaching and teaching so much at the time. Probably played a little bit of golf and hit some balls, but there wasn't much that I really did to prepare for a big break. I mean, that was the thing of talking about the flop balls. The short game's always kind of been one of my things, and having good imagination. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna try and overdo it, because you can overthink some of the challenges, I think, and just naturally shots that you would pull off day in, day out. So.
Let's talk a little bit about the pressure. One of the consistent themes as I do these interviews in our big break series is I hear about how the pressure, even by some of the guys, Mark Silvers was saying, he's played on different tours and he's never felt pressure like that. I started digging in. Why is that? And a lot of people said a lot of different things. One is the talent level of the people that are there is really good. And we don't necessarily see that on TV, right? We see people in different conditions. We see people that pick up a club, like you said, after sitting down for an hour and go and get one swing, go and sit back down, and they hit the ball, wedge in the bunker 90 yards out. And you're like, how could you not put that on the green? We don't know all the variables that are going back here. So that's one thing, is the talent, even the ones that, aren't playing to their level, I guess, end up holing out a shot or hitting a 30-foot putt. It's really amazing in that respect. The other thing is the weather. You guys, more than any other big break, dealt with that. That's another component. And then one that's really cropped up from these interviews is the fact that it's a production. And you have to remember that. We see this really fine edited end show, right? And it seems like everything's moving right along. Whereas, Mark said you guys would go out, take a shot, go sit down wrapped in blankets and, and hats for 90 minutes. And then they go, Andy, you're up, and you'd go up and take one swing and go sit back down. Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. Talk to a little bit about that, how you handled that.
So I'd say the pressure part, Mark was telling the truth, and both Marks were telling the truth about that. I mean, I played on tour, and I'd say in the PGA Tour event, the first shot you hit of the week is always, you have a little bit of the first tee jitters, and you want to get off to a good start. But once you hit it, you're moving and you're going. And if you miss a green, it's okay. You can get it up and down. Or if you miss a putt, you have another hole to make birdie. So the pressure is different, because big break, it's one shot means everything. So it's almost like being on a 72nd hole of a tournament, and you having to pull a great shot off in order to win. And so that pressure that you're going to feel on 18, you feel for, 2.5, 3 weeks hitting every golf shot in Ireland. Obviously, when I'm in Florida now, I grew up in Phoenix. I'm a warm weather guy. I don't do anything north of the Mason-Dixon line. And so there being, 20 something degrees, literally, almost the whole time we were there, and raining and blowing 40 miles an hour. And you saw that, I think a camera got, blown over during the show, and a tree
fell down. Yeah.
Fell down over there. I think that added to a little bit of the pressure on there, but it's no more pressure than you're going to put on yourself that the show puts on you. I think more than anything, as every shot is life or death. You don't get ball two, you don't get a chance to get it up and down, in most parts. Sometimes you did when you played the hole out, but it was all or nothing in that moment. And plus, everyone that's watching it, if they're watching a tour event on TV, they're watching to enjoy the golf, and you're already playing well. They're watching to see who's going to mess up, who's going to pull off the shot. So I think that's also a little bit of the pressure that comes along with being on the big break.
Awesome. So before we get into, we kind of want to talk through your time in Ireland, and not necessarily shot by shot. We'll be here for 2 hours, but we just want to get your sense of what that was like over there. I just want you to run through some of your feedback on a few of the players and your fellow teammates there. We want to make sure that we're balancing the perception to reality.
Right.
A couple of things that came up through the quick hitter segment that I want to share with you or ask you. Mallory and Mark and yourself seem like you had a pretty tight bond. And then towards the end, Mallory kind of went to the Jules side of things and was kind of, I don't know, there was some kind of disdain, or she wanted to take you out. She said that. I guess that's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. We also know, most of us know, that Jules and Mallory have moved on in a big way, right? Family
Right.
and married and all that. So that might paint some of the picture. But talk a little bit about that. Then I want to talk a little bit about Nina and Joe, because they were a different dichotomy. And then the whole situation with Brendan or whatever his name was that got hurt. So to start with Mallory and Jules.
So with Mallory and Jules, I knew Jules beforehand. And I thought we had a decent relationship. We weren't best friends or anything, but we played, a bit together. Mallory was obviously one of the stronger players on the show. The show was really talented. I thought overall it was probably one of the stronger overall fields, from top to bottom. Maybe minus Bennett, your buddy Bennett, and we're going to talk about. But and so I think we did. I don't really know what happened in there. I think one thing that Big Break is good is doing is they're great at the Golf Channel's great at putting on a production in the show. So they know what to say to people to get them fired up a little bit. They know how to change some things in there. And I think once it started getting down from a team competition to individuals, and then obviously Jules and Mallory had something going on that we didn't know there, right? So I think there was a dichotomy of a lot of that. But after the show was over, even though there was some bad blood between some people, to be honest, I don't know why everyone was kind of jumping on me for a fact that I was laying them down every day. I mean, I would have been mad at me too, because they weren't going to beat me. That wasn't going to happen. And so, so I think that some of that came into it. But at the same time, when that camera came on, people got a little bold, right? Mm-hmm. And if they couldn't really talk it with the club so much, they were going to have to, open their mouth and say some stuff. And me, I didn't, I'm not going to just let you talk crazy to me. Yeah. So, so I think it got rubbed the wrong way a couple times. But I know early on, I remember Joe was a little mad at me during show 3 when everyone on my team and everyone on his team talked more stuff about Bennett than I did. I hardly said anything, but they come out in the morning and he wants to question me. And I'm like, no, we ain't doing this right now. But everyone was like talking about, Bennett and just roasting him. But they come out and they wanted me to apologize. And I was like, I'm a grown man. I'm not going to apologize for what I said. So when I said that, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, he's arrogant. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do that. And I was like, that's just the way it is. So
not only did, you make a comment, and I think Mark said he would have shoot himself in both legs, I think was Mark's comment, to stop him from going out there. But nobody knew what Bennett, first of all, the way they filmed it, again, you were there on site. It looked like he could have been faking the whole thing.
Right.
Because, it looked like he was ill sometimes, and they showed him in his bed. It looked like he was just hanging out. And then all of a sudden you hear he's in the hospital and he's getting his appendicitis or whatever. So right. And that's a unfortunate situation. Yeah. So I get it. So let's talk about the event. Your favorite challenges. Was it the flop shot? Was it breaking glass? Any favorite challenge?
Everyone that hit a good shot on. I really, when I was captain, that was the first day we actually went out and just played holes, right? The whole hole. And so, and I don't think that was by accident. I don't think they know every day exactly what challenges they're going to do in what order. I think they kind of do it based on how the teams are moving and who's going to be captain coming up and how they see the order going. So I wouldn't say that it was a coincidence that when I got there, now all of a sudden we're going to play holes out. And I think it was just Mark, Mallory and I, when we played the 3 holes against Team Stratford, and they had 4 players left. So obviously I like playing. I enjoyed when we played the really windy day over at Port Marnock. That was pretty fun. I mean, it was blowing like 40, 50 over there, and you're having to aim 50 yards left on a 120-yard shot and pull that off. That was pretty fun. But obviously the big break, the flop wall is fun because you've seen it on TV so many times. The break the glass, us starting out with that was like, we're really here and it's really the big break now. And so I would say those two stand out, but the rest of it was kind of like, I think a couple of challenges were a little iffy. It was like they didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. It was like, okay, we have to have another challenge. Let's go chip. And it was just, just kind of come up with some stuff.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys were in bunkers a lot, chipping all over the place. I mean, it didn't matter what you did. The weather was just, it was crazy out there.
Right.
One thing that I want to ask your opinion on this, because you have so much playing experience, coaching experience, teaching, all of that stuff. Mark Silver said that it wasn't the height of the wall. It wasn't even the distance to the wall. It was the fact that he could not see where his ball was going to land. That was the biggest it was the optical thing. It wasn't, the ball, I'm too close to the wall, I can't get it over, or it's too high, I can't get over. He said the weird thing to me when he first stood behind it was, I can't see where I'm putting this ball. And that was different, right? You don't go, there's not somebody putting your hands over your eyes when you're shooting.
Right.
Any feeling to that? Or did you get that sense or no?
I didn't get that sense. What I did get the sense is when I got there, it was a slight downhill lie, and it was pretty juicy because that was our first scene that morning. And so it was a little bit wet, tight, kind of wet lie. And so the thing was, it had been easy to kind of get a little handsy with it or just slide under it, and the ball just kind of drop right in front of you. So, but I was second on our team when I think me and Mallory again may have teamed up on that one, or me and Kelly. No, it was me and Kelly on that one. So I had already seen a couple people hit the shot. I knew if anyone got up there and they hit it over that, it wasn't that tough of a shot because I saw them, the first two in front of me hit it both by about 25, 30 feet long. And so it's easier to flop a shot just over the wall. So you can, when you're walking by the wall, you get to see the distance it is from the hole. When you're behind it, you don't see it, but you already kind of know, you've seen the visual there. So, and that was the one where I was just thinking, don't embarrass yourself in front of all your friends. I could care about anyone else watching it. I just didn't want my friends and family to see me, not pull that shot off.
You hit it to 9 feet or something, I think, right? And then Kelly missed the putt. That broke a lot more than No,
that one I stoned. I hit that one close, and she made it. And then the next one, we did the chipping when we went to the next.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Then I hit it, and that was Mallory. And then Mallory, because we had the bigger hole.
The bigger hole, that's right.
And then, and so I don't think I was too happy.
Jeez, I watched it last night. You haven't seen it in 9 years. You still remember better than I do.
Yeah.
So let's clear this up because I didn't understand the big deal about it. You do rock, paper, scissors, Mark. You say, hey, don't I get to choose? Yeah, Mark could be, and then all of a sudden you're chicken and da da da. I didn't get that. I thought this was and you guys should know. I know they probably played it up for TV too, but through this process, I've learned that you're signing documents before each contest because this is a game show. And they want to make sure that everything is legit. You're thinking strategy at this point. If I'm not mistaken, it's Nina, Jules, and you three. There's 5 left. And it's not necessarily about, you say right on the show, $50,000 is a lot more than 5. I'm wondering why there was such a big, doubt about you making that decision.
Because
captain, that is. Yeah.
Well, because with I think with Nina and Jules at that time, for them to make $5,000 was like making $1 million. So to them, they didn't understand the strategy, right? And I think that's the part of the golf IQ part where I know that, that's what their golf IQ is. They don't see the bigger picture. My thing is, I knew that regardless what happened on their team, they were both going to have to be in elimination if they lost. If my team was on elimination, if we lost that day and we lost and Mark was a captain, he was going to pick Mallory. If Mallory was a captain, she was going to pick Mark. So there's no scenario in which I'm going into. I hadn't been picked yet to go to elimination.
Right.
And so I knew, I said, there and go, regardless of what happens today, I'm going to the next show. So if someone else messes up on my team, I don't get thrown to the wolves for that. Right. And so I sat there and said, well, you know what? It's pretty much a free day for me. If you take the $5,000, cool. That's okay. I got $5,000. I mean, that's cool. I can live without that $5,000, but it's one more step of getting to the next show. And it was pretty much, I was guaranteed to get to the next show Or they did. Was I chicken? Come on. We still won the day. But that was the thing was, we won that day anyway. So, and it wasn't, that was no biggie. And so, obviously it was, like I said, I think Jules got he was feeling himself a little bit, and probably Nina was gassing him up about that, at that time. But, it is what it is.
Talk about the elimination a little bit. That's one thing that I had to watch. When I watched it back then, I couldn't believe it, because I wouldn't say we had a viewing party, but we had a couple of guys that we'd watch it in a bar and play Golden Tee and, check out Big Break on I think it was Tuesday nights or Monday. I think it was Tuesday nights.
Right.
It was on. And like everything stopped in the bar when you missed the putt. It was like, what? And because you haven't done that. I mean, everybody misses a putt, right? Tell us a little bit about you. I mean, you're so consistent through the whole thing. Everybody misses a shot here and there, but in that weather, the guy to rely on, anybody would have picked you.
Well, so I hit a couple good shots when I had to play Mallory, and I was just short of the green. She wasn't really out of the hole, but she wasn't going to make birdie on the hole, and so I think she made a good 2-putt for par.
She did.
I pitched it up to like 5 feet or something like that, 4 or 5 feet. Wind's coming off the left. The break was slight left to right. And so my thing was, I mean, we just saw it Sunday at Colonial, right? With Morikawa and with Derek, with Xander Schauffele and those guys. And so, just watching that, what I wanted to do was I just said, I'm gonna hit a little bit more firm and take some of the break out, take the wind out of it. I hit it firm, and I reached to get it out of the hole because I hit the putt right where I wanted. And then it lips out hard, and it's like, oh, come on, here we go.
Horseshoe just like this weekend, same thing.
So right? Then we have to play the hole again. Wind again is coming off the left. I fade it a little bit off the tee, draw my irons. So I said I'm going to take it just at the left edge of the bunker, roast it. If the wind, doesn't touch it, it's okay. My fade will make it move. If the wind does touch it, I'll move it back to the center right part of the fairway, and we'll get out of here and live to fight another day. I hit one up the left side. It's fading. There's a hill like this. It's coming in this way, and it bounces up the hill and goes in the bunker, right? So now I've got to, lay up, and then I lose the challenge there. So then now I have to go into the elimination challenge with Jules, right? I think I was still pissed off about the break I felt I got, not with the putt so much, but I think the drive on the last hole. So we're playing a par 3. I made a great swing. I hit 5-iron right through the wind, probably about 12, 15 feet right behind the hole. When I hit it, I thought I made, the shot. Jules hit a decent shot over to like the back left. He rolls it in there. I've got, maybe 12, 13, 14 feet down the hill. And my thing was, you know what? I'm kind of sick of this crap. I'm just going to end it right here. So I juiced it a little bit. Now I've got the same putt coming back and do the exact same thing, lip it out hard again. And I was like, all right, here we go. And so, make par on the last hole. And now I'm taking that long walk, the big break walk to the house.
Do you have to film that more than once, or do you just film it once? They can't make you do
that's
that.
it. That's
okay.
it. They're like, they're like peace. So you just start walking, and I just kept going to the house, and that was a wrap.
That shot, that iron shot, I think it was a 2-iron to the par 5, your best shot there. I mean, that was one of the greatest shots I've seen. I mean, is that where you hit a 2-iron there on that shot?
It was a 2-iron. So what's funny is I put that 2-iron in my bag in like 2004 or 5 or something like that. And it's still in my bag. I hit it yesterday probably 4 or 5 times. And so it's the one club that's just never left my bag. And it's, that's my cheater. That's my go-to. If I got to get it in play, or I got to sting one up there, get it, around the green, a par 5 or something, that 2-iron's coming out.
So the show's over. You had a nice showing. You did unbelievable performance in that weather. As I said, many of my colleagues and friends that were watching this back in the day were, you were the guy. I think, by the way, I think Mallory was a player. There was a lot of folks from, no question. And the woman, I don't remember her name, that Nina beat. Nicole, she could play too.
Nicole's good, and Nicole bombs it. And, and she's a really good player. Yeah.
So it's all over. You go home, you still can't talk about it. Could probably another month or so, 2 months, right, maybe of pre-production or post-production, excuse me. Now it comes on. Are you having viewing parties? Tell everybody how you viewed this thing and saw it unfold.
I did. I had a really big viewing party. There was probably a couple hundred people that came out to a restaurant over at Gallagher's in Phoenix, and so just a bunch of friends, the team that I was with and family, and some people even flew in for it. And so we had we watched it, and they had probably 30 screens inside of there, so they were playing it on every screen.
Oh, that's great.
Inside, and so it was pretty cool. And then after that, I would watch it. One day I had it at the Legacy. A bunch of us got into the restaurant there, watched it. One day I'd be at home and some people would come over and watch it. So it was, it was pretty cool because you don't really remember the days and what challenge was what day. So when you see it again on TV, you start to remember, but it's pretty, you don't know how they're going to portray you or portray the show or what angles they're going to show of what golf shots. So when you see certain shots, you remember, oh, man, I remember hitting that, or I remember hitting the 2-iron, in there. And I didn't remember exactly, obviously when I hit it, I saw it from my angle, but I didn't know what it looked like on camera, coming in there and lining up there by the green. So they do an unbelievable job. I tell everyone more than anything is you don't see cameras during the show, like when you're watching on TV, and there's 20 or 30 cameras surrounding every hole. And that's how great they produce the show, and, how they know and how professional they are about putting the whole production on.
Charlie Harrington said that, and I say this because you talk about the production, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Charlie was in, I don't remember which one he was in. I just interviewed him last week, and he was saying that he missed a 15-foot or 2-putted from 15 feet. And I asked him that question, what happened there? Did you bring the wrong green? What happened to that make you 2-putt? And he said, one thing is about, remember, this is a show. We did that hole 4 times. On TV, you only saw it once. But
That's
we
right.
tied the hole 4 times. And it was 7:00 at night. And I've hit that. I got lazy. I mean, I hit my ball to the same spot. I'm hitting the same spot of the green because I wanted to be below the hole. I didn't want to be left, right, all these different reasons. And he said, I just overjuiced it a little bit, hit it by 6 feet and missed the comeback. But you got to understand, we did that. That was the 4th time, and that's what put him out. Another guy, I don't know if you know Charlie, but another guy that was a really good player that ended up going out in 3rd or 4th position. Anyway, let's get back to you. So you're home, instant celebrity when this thing goes off. People autographs at airports. Tell us a little bit about that, because this is.
I don't know about all that, but it was funny when they were showing the show. Obviously, they showed a couple times a day, so everyone kind of knew I was on the show, and there was a lot of buzz about it. But even years later, I mean, pretty much every week, like playing in this little, skins game in Orlando where I saw Don, there was people that came by there, and I don't live in Orlando. I went up there to play, and they come by and they're like, "Hey, you're Andy from Big Break," and I'm like, "Dude, come on! First of all, I got a beard now. It's we're 10 years later, pretty much, and you remember Big Break." And so it's, I guess a lot of people watched it, and a lot of people had fun watching it. And so it, but it did help with business. I mean, it's a great conversation piece. I mean, we're talking now, obviously, about it. So, it has a lot of its pluses. I kind of hear the same thing all the time. We thought you were the best one. You should have won. My dad still rides me all the time about missing those 2 putts. He tells me I can't putt because of that. And I go, "Pop, what about the 40-footer I made at Port Marnock and the eagle putt that I made and the birdie up and down and he was like, "No, you missed," So in his eyes, I can't putt worth a lick. But it's funny. So when they replayed it a couple of weeks ago, my mom, she texted me. She said, "It still hurts to see you miss that putt." And I'm like, "Mom, I don't even care." But that putt was so long ago that if there was no significance to it, now. But it shows that it was golfing to a lot of people. That meant a lot. So it was it was a great experience overall. I'm glad that I did it 100%. So and I always thought it would be kind of a step back from playing to do that show, but looking forward, guess what? I guess not that many people saw me play on TV when I was playing on tour, so that was my chance to get in front of the spotlight a little bit.
Awesome, that's great stuff. So tell everybody what you're up to today.
Oh man, today trying to not catch this virus, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the head coach at Lynn University. now, and we're the back-to-back national champions, D2 NCAA champions. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're on a nice run. I've been coaching. This is my 8th year coming up as a head coach. So pretty much since the show has been done, I was teaching, and I moved into college coaching. I've had a nice run with it. I've won 7 national titles, in that time. So it's I don't know if we get lucky or not, or maybe I found my calling, but I absolutely love college coaching. Right now, everyone's kind of anticipating how the season's gonna, unfold with the COVID situation going on. Teaching a little bit, not teaching tons, but I work with some players. I'm actually gonna play a couple of events this summer, which is nice. I haven't played a tournament since probably 2012, I think. Maybe the Northern Trust Open on the PGA Tour was maybe the last event that I played. So it's been a while, but I have some time on my hands right now, so I've been practicing a little bit, catching the bug a little bit to play. So it'll be nice to keep those competitive juices going. If I don't have enough going on with that, there's so much going on, I think, with the diversity issue, and there's some forums and panels I've been on with that. We're kind of rehashing the UGA, which was the Old United Golf Association, and so that had the only venue that African Americans could play on before they lifted the Caucasian only clause on the PGA Tour. So we're revamping that. It's going to be a hub of golf for Black golfers, and giving access to different people coming up and minorities playing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I've got a training aid that's coming out here in about 2 weeks. That the final version will be here, called the Dubline. It's a putting training aid of all things, so you don't miss any 4-footers in front of 20 million people. But and it's something I've used with players for a long time, and I'd never had the time to actually kind of formally get it made and get the molds and package it and everything. So I would kind of bootlegged it, and so now we're getting it made the right way, and that should be available here early, I would say August. So that'll be at dublinegolf.com. A little shameless plug there, but
that's fine.
It's going to be it's going to be a great training tool, and it's going to teach you some things, not just about putting, but also about green reading and starting lines and alignment and everything in one small package.
So you've been laying on the couch. You have been doing nothing, obviously.
I haven't been doing anything.
Listen, Andy Walker, it has been a pleasure. We've had a ton of questions for you. I am going to tell you, and I've sold a couple of folks this, we have about 20 scheduled still to go interviews, and we may do a couple of series where we're going to bring back a group, and so you may be hearing from us again over here in the next few weeks, but really appreciate your time today, and we all wish you the best.
Thanks for having me. I had a good time.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.